My sister had an affair with my best man while we were deep into wedding planning. And now she's pregnant. When I found out, my family told me I should cancel everything to keep things from blowing up. I just stared at them and said, "Actually, I've got another idea." What happened after that couldn't have gone better. I'm 29 and I'd been with my fiancée, Sarah, 27, for 4 years. We got engaged last Christmas and had everything set for our dream wedding this October. Things were going smoothly, until 3 weeks ago, when everything came crashing down. My younger sister, Emma, who's 25, has always been the golden child. While I worked my way through school and pinched pennies, she got everything handed to her. I paid for my car by working weekends and nights, but she got a new one just for turning 16. I took out loans and juggled jobs for grad school, while she got a credit card from our parents with no limit. I learned a long time ago that pushing back only made things worse at family events, so I let it go. When it came time to choose a best man, I asked my lifelong friend Marcus, who's 28. We've been through it all, my dad's health scare, job losses, and even some rocky times with Sarah. He's been more than a friend, he's like family. That's what makes all of this so hard to wrap my head around. For the most part, wedding planning went great. But about 2 months back, Emma started tagging along to every vendor meeting and cake tasting. I thought she was just being helpful at first, though she kept making weird comments about how she was taking notes for her own future wedding. Sarah found it annoying, but I figured Emma was just caught up in the excitement. Then she started asking strange things about Marcus. Whether he was seeing anyone, what his type was, and if he'd be bringing a +1 to the wedding. I told her he wasn't seeing anyone, and probably wouldn't bring a guest since he'd be busy with best man stuff. She just smiled and said, "Good." Not long after that, Marcus started acting different. He stopped showing up to our usual hangouts and kept brushing me off with work excuses. His replies to texts about the wedding were short and half-hearted. Sarah noticed, too, and asked if everything was okay. I told her it was probably just nerves, but deep down I felt like something was off. Then, 3 weeks ago, I found out the truth, and it hit me like a truck. I picked up a pair of tickets to a baseball game Marcus and I used to go to, just to surprise him and shake off the wedding stress. As I pulled into his apartment complex, I saw Emma's car parked outside. That gave me pause, but I assumed she was visiting someone else. Walking past his window, I happened to glance inside. And there they were. Emma was on Marcus's lap on the couch, kissing him like a teenager sneaking around after curfew. I froze. My brain needed a few seconds to catch up to what I was seeing. My sister and my best friend. Together. I called Marcus from outside. He answered, sounding winded and caught off guard. I told him I was downstairs and needed to talk. I watched as he scrambled around and said something to Emma, who bolted toward what looked like the bedroom. When he opened the door, he acted like nothing was wrong, but his shirt was inside out, and there was lipstick on his neck. I pushed past him, walked straight in, and called Emma out. She stepped out of the bedroom looking completely embarrassed, messy hair, smudged makeup, eyes wide like a deer in headlights. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. They both tried talking at the same time. Emma was crying, saying she never meant for this to happen. Marcus kept repeating that it just happened. After several minutes of excuses, I learned it had been going on for almost 2 months. It all started the day Marcus offered her a ride after a wedding planning meeting. 2 months. I repeated, still stunned. "You've both been lying to me this whole time?" Emma was crying harder now, saying she knew it was wrong, but didn't know how to stop. Marcus said he fell for her and didn't know how to tell me. I asked if either of them realized how badly this would hurt me, what it would do to the wedding, our friendship, and our family. He said he planned to step down as best man and tell me everything after the wedding. "After the wedding?" I said louder this time. "You were going to stand by my side while sneaking around with my sister?" That's when Emma broke down even more and said something that changed everything. Through her tears, she said softly, "I'm pregnant." I went numb. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Not only had they betrayed me, but now there was a baby on the way. Emma said she found out that very morning and hadn't figured out how to tell anyone yet. I didn't say another word. I just walked out, got in my car, and drove around aimlessly for hours, trying to process the train wreck my life had become. When I finally made it home, Sarah took one look at me and knew something was seriously wrong. I told her everything. She was just as shocked and heartbroken as I was. We stayed up late talking about what this meant, for us, for the wedding, for everything. The next morning, I woke up to tons of messages from Emma and Marcus. She begged me not to say anything to our parents just yet. Marcus wanted to apologize and explain things better. I ignored them both and went to work, though I couldn't focus on anything. That evening, Emma showed up at our place. Sarah let her in but made it clear she didn't want her hanging around. Emma looked awful, drained, pale, completely stressed. She sat on our couch and begged me to listen. "I know you hate me right now," she said, "but I need you to understand, we didn't mean for this to happen. Marcus and I didn't plan this. We just ended up connecting." I asked her how she could possibly explain being involved with my best friend while I was preparing to marry the woman I love. She said they tried to fight their feelings but couldn't stay away from each other. According to her, they had fallen in love, and even though the baby wasn't planned, it felt like some kind of sign that they were supposed to be together. "And what about my wedding?" I asked. "What about my friendship with Marcus? What about the mess this will create for the whole family?" Emma started crying again. She said she knew there would be fallout, but hoped we could all move past it. She planned to tell our parents that weekend and asked if I'd be there to support her. "Support you?" I said. "You want me to stand by you after you completely betrayed me?" She said she wasn't looking for approval, just someone to be there with her when she broke the news to our parents. She said they'd be upset and that she needed her big brother's support. I couldn't believe how bold she was being. I told her to leave. I needed time to process everything. Before she walked out, she hugged me. It felt completely wrong. She said she loved me and hoped we could still be a family. The next few days were tough. I couldn't stop thinking about what to do about Marcus. A part of me wanted to punch him in the face, but I was also just heartbroken about losing someone I'd considered a brother. Eventually, I decided to meet up with him one last time to see if there was anything left to save. We met at a small cafe downtown. He looked just as rough as Emma had, exhausted, guilty, and miserable. He didn't waste any time. He apologized right away and explained how things started. He said Emma had been messaging him about wedding stuff, but the conversations slowly got more personal. Then she started finding reasons to be near him, and one thing led to another. "I know it doesn't make what I did okay," he said, "but I want you to understand that I didn't just jump into this." I tried to resist it. Emma can be persuasive. I asked if he was blaming her for all of it. He said no, he was just trying to explain how it all unfolded. He admitted he loved her and wanted to be there for the baby. "So you're choosing her over me?" I asked. He looked down and nodded. "I have to. She's pregnant with my child. I can't just walk away." I asked if he ever thought about what this would do to me, to Sarah, to our families. He said he had, every single day, but he felt like his feelings for Emma had pulled him into something he couldn't undo. He hoped we could move past it eventually, even if that meant he'd step down from being best man, but we could still be friends. "That's not going to work," I said. "You made your decision, and it wasn't me." That weekend, Emma told our parents the truth about the affair and the pregnancy. It was a nightmare. My mom cried nonstop, and my dad swung between being furious and deeply disappointed. Emma tried to explain it like some kind of romance that just happened at the wrong time, but they weren't buying it. My mom kept asking how she could hurt me like this, especially with the wedding so close. Emma said she never wanted to cause pain, but just couldn't help the way she felt. My dad didn't hold back. He called her selfish and said she'd always thought only about herself. Then things took a turn I never saw coming. Through tears, my mom said maybe there was a way to keep the family from falling apart. Since Emma was having a baby and planning a life with Marcus, she suggested I think about postponing the wedding. "Postpone it," I said. "Why should I delay my wedding because Emma made a terrible decision?" My dad stepped in and said having my wedding so soon would be uncomfortable for everyone. He said people would talk, and it would take attention away from what was supposed to be a joyful occasion. He suggested waiting until after the baby was born and things had calmed down. I was speechless. My own parents were asking me to put my life on hold to make things easier for Emma. I told them flat out that it wasn't happening. Emma's choices weren't going to ruin one of the biggest moments of my life. My mom said I was being unreasonable and not thinking about the family. She said Emma was under a lot of pressure and that my wedding would just make things harder. She used the words family unity and said sometimes we have to give things up for peace. And what exactly is Emma giving up? I asked. She gets to stay with her boyfriend, have her baby, and I'm supposed to cancel my wedding? My dad said I didn't understand. He said Marcus could no longer be part of the wedding, which meant everything had changed, and it made sense to reschedule and start over. That's when I knew they were serious. They genuinely expected me to call off or delay my wedding because Emma had gotten pregnant by the guy I trusted most. They wanted me to take the hit so Emma wouldn't have to face judgment at a family event. You know what? I said. I've got a better plan. Update 1. My parents looked relieved when I said I had another idea. They probably thought I was about to offer some kind of compromise that would let Emma off the hook. They were completely wrong. I looked at them and said, Emma and Marcus won't be at the wedding. That set off a firestorm. Emma started crying harder, saying I couldn't just leave her out of such a big moment in my life. My mom said I was being heartless and reminded me that family is supposed to stick together no matter what. My dad said I was letting anger cloud my judgment and that I'd regret cutting my sister out of something so special. I told them Emma had already removed herself the moment she chose to betray me with the one person I trusted most. Emma said she got why I was hurt, but begged me not to leave her out. She said she'd always dreamed of watching her big brother get married, and not being there would break her. She promised not to cause any problems and to keep to the sidelines. I asked her, like you promised not to sleep with Marcus? My mom stepped in again, saying I was being cruel and that Emma had apologized. She said holding on to resentment would only make things worse, and that I needed to learn how to forgive. She reminded me that Emma was pregnant and going through a hard time and needed all the love and support she could get. I said if she needed support, she should have thought of that before doing what she did. My dad tried a different angle. He said leaving Emma out of the wedding would cause more drama than including her. People would ask why she wasn't there, and it would create even more gossip. He said it would be smarter to just have her there and avoid any extra attention. So let me get this straight, I said. Emma can sleep with my best friend, get pregnant, and destroy my friendship, but I'm the one who has to be the bigger person and smile through it? We went in circles for another hour. My parents tried to get me to change my mind, and I kept explaining that Emma had made her decision, and now she needed to live with the outcome. She kept flipping between saying sorry and trying to justify what she'd done. But not once did she fully take responsibility. In the end, I'd had enough. I told my parents the wedding was in 6 weeks, and my decision was final. Emma and Marcus were not welcome, and if anyone had a problem with that, they were free to stay home. I wasn't going to spend my wedding pretending to be okay with people who'd hurt me the most. After leaving their house, I went straight to Sarah's parents' place. I needed to be around people who understood, not people making excuses for betrayal. Sarah's mom, Janet, was stunned when I told her everything. She couldn't believe Emma would do something like that, especially so close to the wedding. Sarah's dad, Robert, agreed with my decision and said I was right to leave them off the guest list. Your wedding should be about you and Sarah, Janet said. You shouldn't have to share it with drama or people who disrespected you. Robert even suggested hiring security for the event in case Emma or Marcus tried to show up uninvited. He'd seen things like that before, and it wasn't worth the risk. Over the next few days, word spread through our extended family about what had happened. My aunts and uncles called for the full story, and opinions were divided. Some believed I was being too harsh and should find a way to include Emma, while others supported my decision to exclude her. My Aunt Linda called, saying she thought I was making a mistake. She claimed family was more important than grudges, and that I would regret excluding Emma from such a significant milestone. My Uncle Mike had a very different viewpoint, saying Emma had shown incredible disrespect for me and my relationship, and that actions have consequences. He mentioned that if he were in my position, he wouldn't speak to Emma again, let alone invite her to his wedding. The most surprising call came from my grandmother, Grandma Rose, who had always been the peacekeeper in our family. I expected her to try to convince me to forgive Emma, but instead, she expressed pride in me for standing up for myself. Your sister has been spoiled her entire life, Grandma Rose said. Your parents have always made excuses for her bad behavior, and look where it's gotten her. Maybe it's time she learned that her actions have real consequences. Grandma Rose assured me she would attend my wedding regardless, and would make sure other family members understood why Emma wasn't there. She expressed her weariness at watching my parents favor Emma, and was glad I wasn't allowing them to bulldoze me this time. The conversation with Grandma Rose gave me the confidence that I was making the right decision. If the family matriarch supported my choice, then I knew I wasn't being unreasonable. 3 days after the family meeting, Marcus called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. He said he had heard about my decision to exclude him and Emma from the wedding and wanted to try one more time to make things right. What did you think would happen? I asked. Did you really think I'd want you standing next to me at my wedding after what you did? Marcus acknowledged my anger, but hoped we could find a way to preserve our friendship. He said he loved Emma and was committed to their relationship, but didn't want to lose me completely. He offered to write a letter explaining everything to Sarah's family, so they wouldn't think poorly of him. I told Marcus that ship had sailed. He had chosen Emma over our friendship, and now he had to live with that choice. I didn't want his apologies or explanations. I just wanted him out of my life. Marcus got emotional, saying he never meant for things to unfold this way. He claimed he had thought about backing out of the affair multiple times, but couldn't stay away from Emma. He insisted they had tried to end things but kept finding their way back to each other. That's called being weak, I told him. You both chose your feelings over doing the right thing, and now you have to deal with the consequences. I hung up and blocked Marcus's number. I was done giving him chances to explain himself. He made his choice, and I made mine. Update 2. 2 weeks before the wedding, Emma showed up at my apartment again, this time bringing backup, my mom. They said they needed one final conversation about the wedding situation. Emma looked further along in her pregnancy and appeared more emotional than before. She said she had been thinking about our conversation nonstop and had come to apologize more sincerely. She admitted she had been selfish and hadn't fully considered how her actions would affect me. I know I messed up, she said. I know I hurt you in a way that can't be easily fixed, but I'm begging you to let me be at your wedding. I promise I'll stay in the back. I won't talk to anyone about this, and I'll leave right after the ceremony if that's what you want. My mom jumped in, saying Emma had been severely depressed since learning she wouldn't be at the wedding. She claimed Emma barely left her apartment and was constantly crying about missing her brother's big day. She insisted the stress was affecting Emma's pregnancy and that the doctor was concerned about her not eating properly. My mom said, she's not sleeping. This is affecting her health and the baby's health. Is your anger really worth risking your nephew's well-being? I looked at my mom and realized she was trying to emotionally manipulate me by bringing the baby into it. She was acting like my decision to exclude Emma was somehow endangering the pregnancy, when the real issue was Emma's guilt about her own actions. Emma's stress is not my responsibility, I said. She created this situation when she decided to sleep with Marcus. Emma acknowledged that but hoped I could find it in my heart to forgive her. She said she had made a terrible mistake, but was trying to make amends. She promised that if I let her come to the wedding, she would do whatever it took to rebuild our relationship afterward. My mom said she would talk to Sarah about the situation, and that Sarah was open to having Emma at the wedding if it would help heal the family. This surprised me because Sarah and I hadn't discussed changing our decision, and I knew Sarah was still angry about everything. I called Sarah into the room and asked if she had really told my mom she was okay with Emma coming to the wedding. Sarah looked uncomfortable, saying my mom had asked her hypothetically if she would be opposed to Emma attending, and Sarah had said she would support whatever I decided. That's not the same as being open to having her there, I told my mom. Stop twisting Sarah's words to support your agenda. My mom got defensive, claiming she wasn't twisting anything. She insisted she was just trying to find a solution that would work for everyone. She argued that excluding Emma would create a permanent rift in our family that might never heal. Emma began crying again, saying she couldn't bear the thought of missing my wedding. She lamented that she had already missed so many important moments in my life due to the distance between us, and this felt like the final nail in the coffin of our relationship. What distance? I asked. The distance where you were too busy living off our parents' money to care about anyone else, or the distance where you were sleeping with my best friend behind my back. Emma admitted she had been a bad sister and was trying to change. She claimed the pregnancy had made her realize the importance of family, and she wanted to be better. She begged me to give her a chance to prove she could be the sister I deserved. I told Emma and my mom that I appreciated the apology, but my decision was final. I explained that Emma had broken my trust in a way that couldn't be fixed with a simple sorry, and I wasn't willing to risk having my wedding day ruined by dealing with the situation. My mom accused me of being unforgiving and warned that holding grudges would only hurt me in the long run. She insisted Emma was genuinely sorry and deserved a chance to make things right. Family also doesn't betray each other, I replied. Emma chose Marcus over her family. Now she gets to live with that choice. Emma insisted she never chose Marcus over family, claiming she just fell in love at the wrong time with the wrong person. She said she couldn't control her feelings, but assured me her love for me as her brother had never changed. I told Emma that love without respect was meaningless. I said if she truly loved me, she would have stayed away from Marcus or at least been honest about what was happening instead of sneaking around behind my back. After an hour of going in circles, I asked them to leave. Emma hugged me, saying she hoped I would change my mind, but she understood why I was angry. My mom expressed disappointment in my decision, but said she would respect it. The next day, my dad called. He mentioned he had stayed out of the conversation between Emma, my mom, and me, but wanted to share his perspective as my father. He thought I was being too rigid and should consider the bigger picture. Your sister made a mistake, he said. A big mistake, yes, but still just a mistake. She's young, she's pregnant, and she's sorry. How long are you going to punish her for one error in judgment? I told my dad that having an affair for 2 months wasn't one error in judgment. It was a series of deliberate choices to betray me. I pointed out that Emma had multiple opportunities to come clean or stop the affair, but she continued lying to me right up until I caught them. My dad acknowledged I was right to be angry, but argued that anger shouldn't dictate my decisions forever. He said Emma would always be my sister, and missing my wedding would be something she would regret for the rest of her life. He asked me to consider whether I wanted to be responsible for that regret. I'm not responsible for Emma's regret, I stated. She is responsible for the choices that led to that regret. My dad sighed, expressing hope that I would reconsider, but stating he would support whatever decision I made. He assured me he and my mom would be at the wedding regardless, and would try to keep family drama to a minimum. 1 week before the wedding, I received a text from Marcus that I saw before remembering I had blocked his number. He must have used a different phone. The text read, Emma is really struggling. She cries every day about missing your wedding. I know you hate me, but please don't punish her for my mistakes. She loves you and just wants to be part of your special day. I showed the text to Sarah, who rolled her eyes, saying Marcus had some nerve trying to manipulate me on Emma's behalf. She noted it was typical of both of them to attempt to make me feel guilty instead of taking responsibility for their actions. I didn't respond to Marcus's text, but it did make me contemplate whether I was being too harsh. For about 5 minutes, I considered if there was a way to include Emma without compromising my principles. Then I remembered walking up to Marcus's apartment and seeing them together. I recalled the lies, the sneaking around, and the complete disregard for my feelings. I remembered Emma asking me to support her after she betrayed me. The moment of doubt passed quickly. Sarah and I had dinner with her parents that night, where I shared the recent attempts to persuade me to change my mind. Robert praised how I was handling the pressure, saying it displayed strong character. Janet remarked that Emma and Marcus were revealing their true colors by trying to guilt me instead of accepting the consequences of their actions. If they were truly sorry, Janet said, they'd accept your decision and focus on ensuring the rest of your family could enjoy your wedding without drama. Instead, they're making it all about themselves. 3 days before the wedding, my grandmother called with an update on the family situation. She mentioned that Emma had been calling various relatives, trying to persuade them to convince me to change my mind. According to Grandma Rose, Emma was telling people I was destroying the family by excluding her, and that she was considering not having the baby if she couldn't be part of our family events. She was threatening to terminate the pregnancy. I was horrified. Grandma Rose didn't think Emma was serious, but believed she was trying to manipulate people with dramatic statements. She mentioned that several relatives had called her, asking if I was really being as unreasonable as Emma claimed. I told them the truth. Grandma Rose said, I told them Emma betrayed you in the worst possible way, and you have every right to exclude her from your wedding. I stated that anyone with a problem could discuss it with me. Grandma Rose also mentioned hearing from Marcus's family, who were apparently embarrassed by his behavior. His parents had sent a card apologizing for their son's actions and expressed support for my decision to exclude him from the wedding. At least someone raised him with some sense of right and wrong, she said. Too bad he forgot about it when your sister batted her eyelashes at him. Update 3. The wedding day arrived, and it was perfect. Sarah looked absolutely stunning, the weather was beautiful, and everything went exactly as planned. Most importantly, I didn't spend a single minute thinking about Emma or Marcus during the ceremony or reception. My parents were there, and they behaved appropriately, although I could tell my mom was sad about Emma's absence. Several relatives asked where Emma was, and I simply said she couldn't make it, without elaborating. Most people didn't press for details. The best part was that I had asked my cousin Jake to be my best man after Marcus was out of the picture. Jake was honored to step in, and he did an amazing job. His speech was heartfelt and humorous, and he made sure I felt supported throughout the entire day. During the reception, my Uncle Mike pulled me aside and said he had heard about what had happened with Emma and Marcus. He expressed pride in me for standing my ground and not letting them ruin my wedding day. He remarked that too many people in our family had enabled Emma's bad behavior over the years, and it was time someone held her accountable. "Your wedding day should be about you and Sarah," he said. "You made the right choice." About halfway through the reception, my mom approached me and said she needed to talk. We stepped outside onto the venue's patio, where she informed me that Emma had been texting her throughout the day, asking for updates about the wedding. "She wants to know if you've asked about her," my mom said. "She's hoping you might realize you miss her and want to reconcile." I told my mom that I hadn't thought about Emma once during my wedding day, and that was exactly how I wanted it. I said Emma could keep hoping for reconciliation, but that wasn't going to happen anytime soon. My mom expressed understanding of my anger, but hoped time would heal the rift between Emma and me. She said Emma was family and that eventually we would need to find a way to coexist, especially with the baby coming. "Emma chose Marcus over her family," I replied. "She made her bed, and now she gets to lie in it." My mom looked sad but nodded. She expressed love for both of her children and hated seeing us at odds, but was beginning to understand that Emma had brought this situation on herself. The wedding was absolutely perfect, and Sarah and I left for our honeymoon the next morning feeling happy and stress-free. For 2 weeks, we didn't think about any of the drama back home. We focused on enjoying our time as newlyweds and planning our future together. When we returned from the honeymoon, I had 17 missed calls from various family members and a multitude of text messages. Apparently, while we were gone, Emma had given birth to the baby 6 weeks early. The baby was healthy, but had spent a few days in the NICU as a precaution. My mom had texted, asking if I wanted to come to the hospital to meet my nephew, but I didn't respond. I wasn't ready to pretend everything was fine just because there was a baby involved. 3 days after we returned, Emma called me directly. I almost didn't answer, but Sarah convinced me to hear her out. "I had the baby," Emma said, her voice quiet and tired. "His name is Dylan. He's healthy and beautiful, and he looks like Marcus." I congratulated her on the safe delivery, but didn't ask to see pictures or offer to visit. Emma seemed to be waiting for more of a reaction, but I wasn't going to give her the emotional response she was seeking. "I was hoping you might want to meet him," she said. "I know things are complicated between us, but he's your nephew. He's innocent in all of this." I told Emma that I understood the baby was innocent, but that didn't change anything between us. I said I wasn't ready to have a relationship with her or Marcus, and that extended to their child. Emma started crying, saying she had hoped becoming a mother would give us a chance to start fresh. She claimed she had learned so much about family and responsibility since having Dylan and wanted to make things right between us. "You had 9 months to make things right," I said. "You chose to spend that time trying to manipulate me into forgiving you instead of actually working on yourself." Emma insisted she had been working on herself and realized how selfish she had been. She expressed a desire to be a better sister and hoped I would give her a chance to prove she had changed. I told her that I appreciated her words, but that trust must be rebuilt over time through actions, not promises. I said if she was serious about changing, she should focus on being a good mother and stop trying to force reconciliation with me. The call ended with Emma saying she loved me and hoped we could work things out eventually. I replied that I hoped so too, but it would have to be on my terms and timeline, not hers. 6 months later, Emma and Marcus are still together, raising their son and apparently happy. My parents have fully embraced their grandparent roles and frequently post pictures of the baby on social media. I've been tagged in a few of these posts but don't engage with them. Several family members have suggested I should move on and develop a relationship with my nephew, but I'm not ready for that yet. Maybe someday I'll be able to separate the innocent child from the circumstances of his conception, but that day hasn't come yet. Sarah and I are doing great. We bought a house 6 months after the wedding and are discussing starting our own family soon. We've built a life that doesn't include the drama and betrayal that Emma and Marcus brought into our lives, and we're much happier for it. My relationship with my parents has improved somewhat. They've stopped trying to pressure me into reconciling with Emma and have accepted that the situation may never be fully resolved. They still see Emma and the baby regularly, but have learned not to bring it up when they're with Sarah and me. Looking back, I'm confident I made the right decision. My wedding day was perfect because it was drama-free and focused on the people who truly loved and supported Sarah and me. Emma and Marcus made their choices, and I made mine. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt, and I'm okay with that. People often ask if I regret excluding Emma from my wedding, or if I plan to reconcile with her eventually. The honest answer is that I don't regret protecting my wedding day from their toxicity, and I'm uncertain if reconciliation is possible or even desirable. Emma showed me who she really is when she chose to betray me in the worst way possible. I've accepted that and moved on accordingly. The most important lesson I learned from this entire situation is that family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by love, respect, and loyalty. Emma may be my biological sister, but she stopped being family the moment she chose to stab me in the back. Real family doesn't do that to each other.